January 13th, 2017, I found out I was pregnant with our first child. We would eventually learn that we were having a boy, and he was due September 16th, 2017, which was also my birthday.
In December of 2014, I married the love of my life, and we began our journey of life together. We weren't for sure if we would be able to have children or not, because just months before that, I had removal of cervical cancer. And the doctor told us there was a probability that we would not be able to have children, but not the assurance of that.
On June 21st, I went into my checkup for that in 6 months. And he told me that he did not have a heartbeat. And prior to that, I hadn't really felt him move for a couple of days, which he had done that before where he didn't move. And then he made up for it the next couple of days.
Right after our honeymoon, we came home and began our lives together, and was pregnant on our honeymoon. Such a joyous occasion. We were so excited, knowing that in itself was a miracle. And went through the time of knowing that we were pregnant, finding out, and at 5 weeks pregnant, we had a miscarriage.
Even on the monitor, he wasn't moving. And when they told us that there was no heartbeat, in that moment, I kind of gave up on life.
And just a few months later, we found out we were pregnant again. So knowing that we were very fertile and excited about that we got pregnant so quick after that. And but we were still very nervous, processing with just a regular OBGYN, knowing that we had our appointments that we needed to make and come in. So we came in at 6 weeks pregnant for our checkup a little bit earlier than they normally like, just because of the history that I had. Ended up seeing the baby, seeing the heartbeat. We got so excited because that's not something that we got to see at first with our first child that we had. And it was so exciting to see that heartbeat, to actually see the little baby, little peanut, and just excited. And the next week, I started kind of having some symptoms and some signs of feeling the way I was before with the first miscarriage. So I got very nervous. I told my husband something's not right. He actually went into work that day. I called the doctor, knowing that I was most likely having the miscarriage at the time. We were 7 weeks going on our 8th week, and I was at home. And in that process of knowing that I was having the miscarriage at this time, at home I was by myself, and I passed the baby. So I had a container that I had the little baby in, and I sat there for hours waiting because the doctor couldn't get me in until that afternoon. So, and I told my husband not to come home. I said, I'll be fine, but it really was a devastating time to sit at home, knowing that I had my little baby there, but not processing the emotions, the physical part, the emotions, the psychological process that you go through, wondering, is that my baby? Yeah, I know that's my baby.
I went to bed and I slept all day. I cried myself to sleep. I slept all day. I think I got up once or twice to eat, to pray over our baby, to have a miracle happen. But the next day, there was still no heartbeat. They said I could carry out the pregnancy, or I could deliver him as soon as possible. And to me, I couldn't fathom carrying around my baby who wasn't alive for the rest of the duration of the pregnancy.
My husband looked at me and he just said, I think, we just need to wait. This is very stressful. And again, remembering this is our first year of marriage, but it's actually our first few months of just being married and trying to get used to each other as well. And so we went through that process, started talking to people, finding out other people who had actually had miscarriages as well, infant losses, and so we began to connect with a few people, and finding out that it is very common. As the statistic says, 1 in 4 women have or will encounter a miscarriage.
The next day, when I was finally, they gave me a pill to induce me into labor. The next day, around 1 o'clock, she came to check on me. She had told me I was dilated 9 centimeters earlier. She just wanted to check on me real quick. And earlier when I had gotten my epidural, I'm a tiny person, so they kind of overdosed me on the epidural to where I couldn't feel anything from my neck down. So then they had to take me off of it to where I could only feel my legs, where I couldn't feel my legs down. So when she came to check on me, she lifted up my sheets, and at this time she escorted Michael out. And she told me, "Your baby's here." And when I heard that, I thought he was crowning. But she's like, "No, he's here. He's out of you." And at that time, I was kind of angry because I was devastated that I couldn't even deliver my baby. It kind of just happened, and I didn't feel it. So around 1 o'clock, Levi Michael Gonzalez was brought into this world stillborn. And a lot of emotions went on that day.
In November of 2015, we found out we were pregnant for the 3rd time. And I was completely scared, to be honest. So scared, kind of saying, okay, how far each day? So it wasn't a checkup by checkup to the doctor. For me, it was a daily thing. Like, I had to pray, I had to speak to myself, I had to speak to my mind and say that everything's fine, everything's okay. There was times that I had to call friends to just get encouraged day by day because of the devastation and the concern of carrying this baby full term. And so we pressed through, we got through the holidays, we were like, yes, we've made it this far, and we were reaching on 11 weeks, and I had a miscarriage.
That Monday, we had his funeral services, his burial, and every day it's been a struggle to kind of wake up, to get out of bed.
Took some time, for sure.
Yeah. He was due on my birthday, so it was very bittersweet. That morning, I think we laid in bed for about an hour, kind of crying. I have a journal that I started writing when I found out I was pregnant. I started writing letters to him, and I still do so. And it's not, when people would ask us how we were, my husband would say it's not a day-by-day thing, it's a moment-by-moment. Because one moment, I can be perfectly fine, he can be perfectly fine, and then we're a mess. There can be songs that trigger us. I'm scared to death of hearing his name for the first time out there.
So July of 2016, we found out that we were pregnant again. We actually became pregnant outside our fertile window. Our specialist told us that this is obviously your miracle. That does happen. People know that you can get pregnant outside your fertile window. We were very excited, but yet very scared, because we weren't really trying. We weren't really focusing on that. We were tracking and trying not to be pregnant. I was listening to his heartbeat every morning and every night, just tracking his heartbeat and making sure I could hear him. And we came to a place where we could start feeling him move. And that was a huge thing for me, never experiencing that, but also going through moments of Can I feel him? Can I not? Oh my gosh, I can't feel him. Do I need to rush to the doctor? Is there something we need to do? And just taking a breath and just trusting. And so I came to a place within myself of deciding that I wanted to enjoy the pregnancy. I could be concerned, but I needed to enjoy and embrace this pregnancy.
This has brought us closer together. I know sometimes it tears marriages apart, but I love him more than I ever have.
Instead of closing down and building it up, it's better to share. It's better to speak. Sometimes purposely I'll put myself in an atmosphere to make myself kind of cry, to get it out, to make sure I'm verbal about it, to still share that he may not be here with us, but that doesn't mean he still doesn't live in us. He still won't have his life shared or shined in some way throughout our lives.
We went in and went in for being induced. They started the induction process, and I would not dilate, would not open up for the delivery itself. We stayed for over 12 hours in that process of me having labor and contractions, but nothing really going on in my body. So we went and decided to process with C-section because there wasn't an emergency of losing him, but there was an emergency of just my body getting fatigued and getting tired and nothing actually happening. And so we went through the process of C-section. As we went in, they found out that I would not have been able to give a natural birth to Elijah. We would have lost him due to a spinal condition that I had at my lower base. He would have gotten lodged and he would have been stuck, and that would have caused an emergency, but they most likely would not have been able to get to him quick enough. So we are so thankful that we went in and we chose C-section. On April 5th of 2017, God gave us a healthy baby boy, Elijah Hawk Hammond.